So now that we're looking at purchasing our own aircraft for business travel, the question came up on whether we should look to utilize that aircraft for every single one of our business travels, or if we should consider travel by car or by our current method of traveling by commercial airliner. So I think it's important to note that there's a few things that our operations already do that may be questionable as far as travel is concerned. Currently, we drive about an hour into Nashville to catch our commercial flights. And one trip that is listed that we do already currently take by car as opposed to commercial flights is from Springfield over to Union City. By maps, it logs out about 2.5 hours. In reality, our department logs it in our records as 3 hours one way. And so keep in mind as we move forward that this is already something that's being done by car as opposed to commercial travel. So with the knowledge in hand that we are already making these trips, or at least one of the trips, by car, that would insinuate that we do have a corporate vehicle that is available for these sort of trips. So with that in mind, again, the car already purchased, already insured. The only additional cost to that would be maintenance and fuel. Maintenance will be relatively minimal, just figuring in the cost of tire wear and oil changes, and then subsequent stuff that may pop up later. But for these calculations, we're just going to use the fuel calculation rate, and it's going to be 3.25 a gallon roughly right now, the cost in our operation areas. So this trip here is Springfield up to Owensboro, Kentucky. Currently, we are taking 16.2 hours to make that travel. The trip is done with 4 people at a cost of almost $2,000 per trip to the company. In a Pilatus, the total trip time would be 1.4 hours. You're looking at 0.6 in flight. That's 0.3 each direction at a total cost of $670. If we were to look at making this trip by car, we would expect 3.5 hours roughly round trip, and it would cost us about $26 in fuel. Another thing to note as well, when we're getting into these towns, if they do have an aggregate mine of ours, it would be presumed that maybe somebody from the mine would be coming to pick us up in a company vehicle. If we are traveling somewhere that does not have one of our mines, it is potential that we would have to look at the cost of rental and things that are associated with that as well. Also keep in mind with these longer travel times with the current travel, we're spending multiple days on the road to get this done. Many of the trips, if not all of the trips, are listed at 2 legs apiece. And with the weight and the travel time, we're spending 2, sometimes 3 overnights out just to make this one trip. And the second of the trips that are relatively close that I'd like to analyze is the trip from Springfield up to Elizabethtown. Currently with our travel, we drive again down into Nashville to catch a commercial flight. 2 legs gets us close to Elizabethtown. Total travel time is 15.9 hours, and it costs the company $1,215 every time 3 people make this trip. In the Pilatus PC-12, again, I use the Pilatus because it is the slowest of the 4 aircraft that I've analyzed, and I figured that would be the appropriate representation, knowing that we could do it a little bit faster, but it would cost us maybe a little bit more in another aircraft. But the Pilatus PC-12, total of 0.6 hours in flight again, just like the previous flight, 1.5 hours total in travel time, and a cost of $670 again, presuming that we'll have a vehicle available to us on the other end, just looking at the travel to get us to that airport. By car, round trip, we're looking at 3.75 hours at a cost of $31. Now, going back to previous, the first map slide, keep in mind we're already making a 3-hour trip one way by car. So we have the vehicle. In these situations, I do feel that it would be appropriate to recommend that those trips be taken by car as opposed to taking the Pilatus for them. Financially, it just makes sense. Time-wise, you're not saving a whole lot. And in the end, I think it would just be an overall better decision for the company.